I don't think words can really express how important this is, especially it's not even really about this moment, it's about 200-300 years from now and what it's gonna mean for people that remember all of this. You know, because obviously, even though it's been around a long time, hip hop is still relatively young. Like this is our history. This is something that lays the groundwork for future generations, so the narrative is right. It's beautiful.
This is history. We're in the Bronx, New York. This is history for the people.
The most importance of today to me is the acknowledgement of the people who paved the way for us. Blood, sweat, and tears and pain, uplifting hip-hop, uplifting our community, our culture. And a lot of those guys are unsung heroes that never get celebrated. That's what this is about to me.
Ladies and gentlemen, the clip you just saw, I'm filled with emotion. If I told you today on the Total Faith Show, we had one of the integral people, the person who was really put her hands together with a lot of others to make the Universal Hip Hop Museum become a reality. She's in the studio today. She's my friend. You know, let me go back a little bit. When we were signed to Uptown MCA, Groove Be Chill, founded by Andre Harrell, rest in peace, they didn't know what to do with us. And they hired a young lady. Her name was Renee Foster. This lady is dynamic. If I say, you know, she's family, she's friend, she had us in every magazine with no hit. She can do it. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome our guest, Renee Foster.
Hi,
How's it
Gene.
going? How you doing? How's it going?
It's going good. It is so good to see you after so many years.
It's been a while.
And you're doing well. I'm proud to be here. You're an amazing host.
Thank you. And you know what? You know, the fact that, you know, it's funny because you're my friend. You're my friend and friend, but you've done so many different things. You still represent hip hop culture. I want to talk about, let's do this today. I want to find about, you know, your early beginnings, the time that you knew that you was going to be good at this, and then definitely talk about how you and the group of I don't know, pioneers made this Universal Hip Hop Museum a reality. Start from the beginning.
The beginning is really when I dropped out of the Fashion Institute of Technology, where I was a double major of advertising and communications, to work at KISS FM. I left school. I had this opportunity to work in Morning Drive as a programming assistant there at KISS FM, and I loved it. I was immersed in the music. I got to work closely with the program director. I'll never forget him playing hits for me and saying, do you like this? Do you like that? Would you put this on your radio station? And this was before consultants really began to dictate what a playlist would look like at urban radio. So it was a really good training ground, a proving ground, to kind of get my feet wet and learn. But I was a good student.
Okay.
And they recognized that, and I was encouraged by the then news director, Bob Slade, may he rest in power, to go to the news division. And so I wound up going to RKO Radio Networks, which was syndicated news that local radio stations would use their content in syndication when they didn't have newsrooms and things like that. So I went from working Morning Drive from 5:30 a.m. to like 10 a.m. to working the overnights, which was the graveyard shift. And I was working with really veteran journalists, and they were all men. They were all older white men, and I would commute to Manhattan from Queens on the subway to be at work at midnight. Okay. And this was pre the Disneyfication of Times Square. So it was gully.
Yeah,
it was,
exactly.
It was,
exactly. 42nd Street. It was. It's not like it is now.
The Deuce was still the Deuce.
40 Deuce.
And every night when I would come off the train, I would see the same street kids, because runaways at the time would flock to New York City. They would come to Port Authority on the Greyhound, and street life, you could find anyone there. for good, bad, or indifferent. And the same kids would see me every night, and they'd be like, yo, 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 where you going? I said, I'm going to work. And it was like, well, you don't look like a hoe. What you do? True story. And
oh, my goodness.
every night they met me and they walked me to 1440 Broadway, at Broadway and 40th Street, from the 42nd Street Avenue of the Americans train station. Because they said, well, you're our age, you're one of us. How did you get here? And so that really began my journey.
Wow.
And I was always loving music. I had a really culturally rich home. And I'd actually gone to professional performing arts school for children on scholarship. So I knew people that worked in the arts from a tender age, from basically like middle school. So I knew all the kids that went to the Fame High School, the School of Music and Art.
Yep, exactly.
You know, performing arts and stuff. And my classmates were child actors, dancers in the junior corps at American Ballet Theater. One of my classmates was a Suzuki master, a prodigy, a violin prodigy.
Who else? Who else did you?
My most famous, I would think, classmate, everyone would know right now, would be, his father was a famous actor. Alan went on to become a big-time actor. He and his brother, I remember his brother was singing the songs from Brigadoon or some big musical before his voice changed. And this boy had a beautiful angelic harmony. Middle school girls used to cry when this boy sang.
That's a good singer.
Okay, he could sing. So there was so much talent. It was so much talent. And then, you know, by the time I had come out of high school and I had gotten into FIT, I was kind of immersed with a bunch of musicians. And so being from Queens, there were kids like Marcus Miller, who went on to be a famous bass player, you know, who became a producer, songwriter, worked with Luther Vandross. And there were a lot of garage bands. There were people that actually played instruments. So
you was always involved in music and surrounded. So, you know, the fact that you went from this corporate America, you know, briefly talk about the transition into hip hop, because I really want to get into how you became like this PR guru, putting pieces together to a culture that people didn't understand.
It was so important. You know, I love the culture. I had been taken to a rap show at what we call Webster Hall now.
Yep, Webster Hall.
Remember, it was the old Ritz. And I saw Angie Stone with Cheryl and the Sequins singing, I'm gonna funk you right on up, gonna funk you right on up. It was a rap from that performance. And so, you know, I was trying to figure out where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do career-wise, and, you know, I knocked around trying to learn more skills, because I had a dear friend, God rest his soul, Ken Smichael, who went on to found Target Market News in Chicago. He passed away recently. His brother is a very, very famous photographer, Daoud Bey.
You know what? I want you to hold on to that note, because I want to get more into this scenario. When we come back, we're going to find out more about her connections to this musical scenario, how she transitioned to hip hop, to being a PR guru, and the Universal Hip Hop Museum on the Total Faith Show.
Do you have a passion? Do you have a story that needs to be heard? Do you have an upcoming event? Do you have a business, product, or service? If your answer is yes to any of these questions, you can be a guest on The Total Faith Show. Click the Contact Us button, fill out the form, and we will get back to you. Thank you for entering into Total Faith Network. We walk in total faith.
And welcome back to the new Total Faith Show. I am your host, Gene Groove Allen, and if you don't know, you better check House Party. And we're here talking more to my friend, my partner, my sister, Renee Foster. You know, Renee, your story is such an incredible journey. And we like to say here, it's about real life, real stories. You were talking about that moment when you was listening to music, got into a little bit of jazz. You saw Angie Stone, and how did that get you into this love of hip hop? But more importantly, doing the work that you love to do, helping people brand.
I love the music, and I've always had a really my household was really rich culturally, and I got exposed to a lot of genres of music. And as I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, I had a few conversations with different people I knew, and then a dear friend said to me, think about working in the record industry. Well, my friend Ken Smichael at the time was a reporter for either Record World or Cash Box.
They used to have reporters?
Trade magazine. It was a trade magazine.
Okay.
A music industry trade magazine. And he took me on an interview with him. I'll never forget. I actually met Curtis Mayfield that day.
Wow, that was
so it was significant. It was like awesome. He was like this amazing songwriter, and we're coming off the songs of Superfly and Claudine and all that music my parents played from the civil rights movement. And so
how was it meeting him? I mean, you're talking about Curtis Mayfield.
It was awesome because he was a dad, and it felt like meeting your uncle. It felt like meeting someone so familiar. It was an immediate familiarity. And that's a kind of cultural thing that we share. Yeah. When you are really connected and bonded to culture and the things that are powerful in culture, you feel that immediately. You feel that connection.
Is that how you decided to, because you like hip hop, because you're culturally in depth in all types of different genres, is that what was the moment that you?
Pretty much, because I thought about how important it was for artists that create to talk about how and why they create. What is your why? Everybody has a reason they do everything. And I was really curious about, why do you create this music? How are you able to speak to us so universally in ways that we relate and connect to? And songs like Freddie's Dead? Oh my goodness, I didn't know what that meant, but I knew Freddie was in a bad place as a child hearing that. So there's something about the resonance of someone who really can story tell. That appealed to me.
Gotcha.
I started hustling writing love letters when I was 12. I made my first money writing love letters.
How much money did you make?
I made $5 a letter.
That's a good.
I was rich. You couldn't tell me
that's
nothing.
A good little business.
You know how much
I like that.
penny candy you can buy?
That's a whole lot of penny candy. Mary Jane.
Yes, and sugar babies. Yeah. and watching my friend, and he would challenge me, and he says, all right, if you think you want to work in the record industry, what would you do in the record industry? I thought about my skills. I thought about what I loved. I thought about my ability to reach people with the written and spoken word. And so when the opportunity arose, Juanita Steffens had just gotten a promotion at Universal MCA. Her boss was Katie Valk, who was an amazing rock and roll chick. She was Irving Azoff's protege, who was the legendary manager of the Eagles.
Irving Azoff, if you don't know, please look him up.
And so they said, we want a strong assistant. We don't need a groupie chick. We need somebody smart that can write, that can come in here and really work with us as a team. And Juanita was like, Renee, I would like to offer you this, but it doesn't pay a lot of money. It's an assistant's job.
Okay.
I know how much experience you have and the work you've done. Would you think about it? I thought about it. 5 minutes. I said, I'll take it. I took the pay cut. I went in.
Were you scared? Were you worried? I mean, this is,
I went in humble.
Okay.
I went in humble because although I had worked in advertising and although I had worked in radio, the record industry was completely new to me. And I came in keeping my head low, watching everybody.
Who was your first artist you worked with?
Wow. The first artist, when I really think about coming to that label, the first artist that we had to really work hard to launch as a solo artist, believe it or not, Bobby Brown.
Wow.
We were in transition because New Edition was Bobby was leaving the group, and we were working really hard to make it a smooth
transition
artistically.
Because everybody was like really bugging out. Bobby Brown leaving. What do you mean, New Edition?
And artistically, we felt that they would be fine, but we needed to make it possible for him as a standalone artist, you know, to forge his own path, if you will. You know, when an artist is unknown, it's not hard because you tell their story as it is. But when you're dealing with someone who's already gained fame and celebrity, you must treat it in a certain kind of way because it's about growth. You want the messaging and the information and everything that's said to reflect that, not the challenge of the transition.
What did you have to do to, because you said, you know, Bobby Brown already had the story out there, New Edition had the story out there. What did you think was integral to finally have people say, oh, I will see him in this different light?
I think what was important is to be honest about wanting to be independent, to be honest about wanting to, you know, express themselves. Everybody wants to express themselves, you know, and sometimes, you know, when it's a collective, not every voice is heard fairly sometimes. Okay?
Yeah.
Not because they don't love or respect you, but not everybody gets the spotlight.
Exactly. And so I see, you know, and obviously, you know, Bobby Brown is a success. The things that you did to get him there, that must have been, you know, a huge success for you. How did it make you feel in terms of your next path or journey?
My next path or journey was always about who's breaking through. I was always interested in who was bubbling under, or who got next. Like when Jody Watley left Shalimar and became a solo artist, we had the best time working on her campaign because she was a solo artist and she was brand new. You know, although you may have known her and you may have been familiar with Shalimar, you didn't know who Jody was until she put out, I'm looking for a new love, okay? So, you know, and we got to work with like amazing groups like Climax, that all-girl band, you know, when the hit, the men all pause.
The men all pause. Meeting in the ladies'
Meeting in the ladies' room.
That's right, that's right.
We had fun. We had a lot of fun. But we also got to work with amazing artists across a lot of genres.
All right.
Oak Ridge Boys.
Oak Ridge. See, now when we come back, we're going to talk about the Oak Ridge Boys. If you don't know Oak Ridge Country, Renee, hip hop, come back, Total Faith Show. And we are back with the new Total Faith Show hosted by me, Gene Groove Allen, and my sister, Renee Foster. We left talking about the Oak Ridge Boys. Now that is, you know, if you don't know, Oak Ridge Boys is this huge iconic country band singing phenomenon, you know, and tell us how.
Well, the department was really eclectic and there were no divisions in terms of what music we were assigned to work on. So, I mean, you know, it may have been Oak Ridge Boys, it may have been Ray Davies from the Kinks, as well as Father MC, Heavy D and the Boys, Mary J. Blige. Andre Harrell became aware of me because I would always either sing Bonita Applebaum. I was always singing De La Soul.
Where at?
Up and down in the hallways. Up and down the hallways. I was always rapping to myself, or I would sing Tom Petty's "I Won't Back Down."
Won't back down.
Okay, so he was like, "Do you like hip hop?" I'm like, "I love hip hop." And he was like, "Really, you do?" I said, "Yes." And eventually, he offered me a contract to leave Universal MCA and become the first director of communications for Uptown Records.
That is.
And Puffy was our intern, and let me tell you something, no one can outwork him. His work ethic was always that
Puffy
way.
was always like that.
He was always that way,
Always
make
like
no
that.
mistake. He called me into his little cubby hole of an office, showed me the design for the logo for Bad Boy Entertainment, and I was like, you're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine. This is good, you know? And so working with Andre really prepared me for the work that I do with the Universal Hip Hop Museum.
Gotcha.
The culture has always been critically important, and I've always felt that I had the means to give voice to what this culture meant to the people who created it.
How did you bring it to life, though? Because, you know, we all have a vision to, and this is a, you know, like it was stated on the clip, you know, this is about for people in the future. What kind of vision and some of the challenges to even get that thing done?
Well, you know, I give the credit to our executive director of the Universal Hip Hop Museum, Rocky Bucano.
Okay.
His vision, you know, when you talk about what hip hop means to you and where hip hop has taken you, a lot of people's lives have been touched by it. And the stories, there are a million stories that are untold about people who live hip hop. And I'm not talking about famous people all the time.
No.
I'm talking about a way of being, a way of thinking, a way of expressing yourself.
It's a whole
and it's
culture.
a whole
It's a
culture.
culture.
And for me, it's the culture for me. It's so iconoclastic. It's influenced everything and everybody. There's hardly anyone that doesn't have a favorite hip hop song. There's hardly anyone that doesn't, that can't tell you where they were when they first heard that song.
X, Y, Z, ABC, you're right.
And the right person will tell you who they was with or what they wore.
But you know, it's funny because this thing that they thought would never last. It's so linear in everything that we do nowadays. Commercial, marketing, clothes, and now the fact that this Universal Hip Hop Museum, you know, and we're talking something as grand as ever. What was it like just getting that through the moments to the groundbreaking?
Convincing people that this was real.
Okay.
Convincing people that we were creating an institution of the future for generations to come. 2023 will be the 50th anniversary of hip hop. From the first day Cool DJ Herc spun at a park jam.
Cool DJ Herc.
2023
Herc,
will be the
Wow.
50th anniversary.
Wow.
So for everyone that doesn't know the history,
It's there
for all the
them.
people that gave themselves to it, their art to it, this museum is for them to preserve what they created and for future generations to appreciate what hip hop had to go through. Not only did people, as Biggie said, who would have thought hip hop would make it this far?
Exactly.
People thought hip hop was a flash in the pan, but they didn't understand the artistry and the complete expression that hip hop gave. I'd
What
like
are we
to
gonna
say,
see?
I'd like to say that hip hop may have been born in the Bronx, but it was raised worldwide.
True. Obviously. So I'm going to the museum. What am I going to see? Talk to me about the things that, you know, I know you got a lot of surprises and things going on there.
Oh my goodness. You're going to see the bicycle Snoop rode in gin and juice. You're going to see Slick Rick the Ruler's throne.
Oh my goodness.
All right. You're
I
going
love
to
this.
see you're going to see so much amazing memorabilia. You're going to see collections of Word Up magazine. You're going to see everything that chronicled the rise of hip hop. There is no artifact or memorabilia as far as hip hop goes that is unimportant as far as this museum is concerned.
Was it hard to get the articles and the facts and all the stuff that you're showing and showcasing? Was that hard?
There are challenges. We must always authenticate, improve some things, ownership, where it came from. Museum institutions do this as a standard. We're a real museum.
Yes.
We're a real museum. We're going to have a digital asset management system that allows you to know who donated an item, how old it is, whether it's in a collection, whether it's on exhibition, whether it is in our temperature control warehouse. No artifact, whether it's a gold record, we're going to tell you who donated it. We're going to tell you how they got it. All of the history.
That is
all
amazing.
of the history. We're going to have 50,000 or a little more square feet of 2 floors devoted to hip hop culture. Our tech partners are Microsoft. Microsoft just gave the museum a $5 million donation.
Wow.
prior to our
Microsoft.
groundbreaking on May 20th. And as our tech partner, them and MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, their Centers for Advanced Virtuality, we have a fully interactive playlist that will take your taste and create one for you.
I love it.
We
I
have the
love it.
breakbeat narratives that were created by Dr. Fox Harrell in association with Microsoft to tell the story of hip hop the entire timeline.
You know what? This is just a fascinating journey. I want to thank you again, Renee, for coming, my sister, for supporting me, and really supporting you in what you do. You do an incredible job representing the hip hop culture. What is the website? Because I want to make sure everybody gets a chance to go to the website and support the cause, because believe me, this is hip hop is what it is. What's the website?
The website is uhhm.org, and if you got 5 on it, run it to the museum.
Let me tell you, make sure you go to the museum, make sure you go to the website. They got a lot of good things. Thank you again. Thank you, my family, friends, for joining us. The new Total Faith Show. Gene Groove Allen. Talk to you soon.
Hip hop is such an important, not just a cultural importance, it's also of social and economic development importance. When I think of hip hop has been the voice of the voiceless, the story of marginalized communities, where people can tell stories about the social inequities that are happening in communities, Black and brown communities, not just here in America, but all around the world. As long as hip hop is around, the museum will serve as a curator and an educational overseer, making sure that the kids have access to this culture through our collections, through our artifacts, through our storytelling, and through our programming that will be produced inside the museum and outside of the museum. As we share curriculums, we're creating something that people will experience worry-free from any form of a pandemic in the future. Open spaces, immersive technologies, using virtual reality, using holograms, just so that we make sure that people come in there and they feel comfortable. But more importantly, they feel like they're walking into a new dimension, a new type of museum experience. And that's what we're building at the Bronx Point.
You gotta have that F-A-S-A-I-T-H. 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 We want my faith in the pasta.